I like to address some of the comments, but someone said that my son probably has to be worried about getting killed by his own brother. And I do want to remind people, when you use that black on black crime talking point, that is one of the sprinkled on talking points of white supremacy. That does come from being racist. That comes from it comes from respectability politics, blaming people that are oppressed for their own oppression. Black on black crime is a direct effect of all of the injustices that have happened to Black people in this country. And it is an effect and not the cause. And to sit down and blame Black people for their own oppression and blame women for their own rapes comes from that low EQ that we talked about. You can miss me with that bullshit. Don't tell me anything about Black people killing each other in Chicago. Y'all don't give a damn about Black people, you pro-life people. You don't give a damn about them in Chicago. That just makes you comfortable in your apathy for Black people. Whenever you can point out that they are doing something wrong, it just enables your apathy. And I don't want to hear that, because if that's the case, all the white people that took on January 6th were just an example of the worst of you. And if we made a declaration about all of you based on those people, you'd be butthurt daily crying about that happening. So miss me with all of that. If you really want to understand why black on black crime exists, which is not even real, because y'all white people kill each other more than anything. So stop it with all of that. That's ignorant. And if you think that's a cool talking point, because a lot of people are using that, even Black and brown people say that shit, and you sound goofy when you say that damn shit. Anyway.
No, I want to pick up on that too. It's stupid. It is so stupid. That's it. You just sound stupid. And people are intentionally saying that to be racist to some extent. People who think they're making a strong point, you're not, because people, yes, when it comes to civilian murder, you're more likely to be killed by someone who looks like you. That's all races, because one of the biggest factors is proximity. But when it comes to state-sanctioned murder, which civilians pay for, that's where the racism comes into play. Like, what? Yes, Black people are more likely to be killed by Black people when it comes to civilians. White people are more likely to be killed by white people because of proximity. That's not some big scientific, that's not something that you made up. It's just because Black people are more likely to live around Black people. White people are more likely to live around white people. And that is a racist. That's also an effect of an outcome, what's sort of looking for, of white supremacy in itself. So look at that. We can blame even Black people killing Black people on the white supremacists.
If they wanted to make a true argument,
we would not live around each other.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Brooke, if they wanted to make a measurement of that, they would be talking about Black cops and white cops. Are more Black cops killing Black people or more white cops killing Black people? Now we got a conversation. Maybe we could have that, maybe we could discuss that. But yeah, it's like there's different ways to die, and you get hit by a car, you could drown. There's a lot of horrible ways to die. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about state sanction, I think Aida was talking about state sanction, people that we pay who get a pension, right? Who gets free coffee and donuts, who get put on this pedestal, man. That's different. No one hired the baby or whoever he is, Jerome, to kill my son. No one hired the person in the gang, or no one hired someone to carjack you. Like, that's different. There's always going to be crime. And we can always directly link that back to poverty. We can always link that back to lack of opportunity. I've never met anybody, guys, who wanted to do crime who had a lot of options. Like, that's not how it works. People who live that lifestyle, they're like, well, this is all I got. And most of them don't expect to live long. Like I grew up with these guys. A lot of young people, a lot of my friends, we grew up in the crack era. We know that there was lack of opportunity. You could either go in the military or you could go on the block, and some of us were lucky enough that we had the right parents, we had the opportunity to go to school, and that was it. Those are the three tracks for the most part.
Yeah, when we talk about that stuff, and let's talk about it. When you think about our children, our young boys, what are the options? The military, the block, a jump shot, you got bars. That's what's constantly being peddled to our kids. as if we don't have scientific excellence in our community. What we don't have is resources and opportunities. I saw someone in the comments saying, you can't tell me about black on black crime. I grew up in Detroit. We live in Liberty City in Miami. There is a Detroit all over the country. There are places where you can't go to get gas in the middle of the night all over the country. And that is not to minimize the crime in Detroit, but to blame black people for that crime, because those are the people you see in the headlines. It is ignorant. What I am saying is, and I am not disputing that we have high crime rates in low income neighborhoods. That is across the board. That is in Latino neighborhoods where there is a lack of resources and low income. White neighborhoods, it is the reality of poverty and lack of resources. They point at black people to do that in this country because they've had it in for black people since they stole them and brought them here. And we have to be we have to rise above this ignorance so that we can actually find solutions in our communities. I'm so upset about this because I hate when goofy ass people in these comments telling me, you don't know what I'm talking about. I went to a high school where 17 people got killed from the time I was in the 9th grade till the time I was in the 12th grade. And our school got shot up. Our school would get locked down. And my school was one of the better schools in my community. So don't tell me about the crack, because crack was in my refrigerator when I was growing up. I grew up between going from rehab to jail to visit relatives, the people, my parents and the people who were raising me. I grew up in the middle of a crime-infested riots because the cops were killing black people, and my high school burned in Miami. So don't tell me about bad neighborhoods that because you grew up in one. There are a lot of people who've had to grow up in those neighborhoods. And those of us who see everybody around us as human beings understand that there is no greater opponent, as Bruce Lee said, on the planet than a man that has nothing to lose. So please miss me with that. We're not going to demonize black and brown people for their poverty on this show. You can take that somewhere else because you don't know what you're talking about. And cut.
Reading those comment sections, them people crazy, man. You know, they're gonna make you, make you come outside yourself. They ain't ready for it. I try not to read the comments, man. I just go with the flow, cause there's always some people trolling. They just want to get a reaction out of you. They know damn well any country you go to anywhere in the world, where there's poverty, where there's lack of resources, there's gonna be crime. People gotta live, man. So people gonna do shit. That's just the world. Survival comes first, and if people don't feel like they have options, they're gonna do whatever it means, whatever they gotta do. White people were doing it as well in the beginning of the turn of the century, in the 20th century. They were doing the same thing. We think the mafia was. We think the Irish were doing. We think the Italians were doing. They were fighting for resources, and they were operating outside the law. But what you do, you glorify that shit, though. You watch The Godfather, and you watch, Once Upon a Time in America. You watch all the gangster movies, and you eat your popcorn, and you're excited. But then when you see that, black people or Latino people in America who are going through similar struggles, you're programmed with that white supremacy bullshit, man. You really got to grow up and realize what's happening, what caused this. We know that the Great Migration happened in the United States. Most black people lived in the South. Then they lynched like 4,000 of us, and we all said, let's go to Detroit. And we went to Detroit. And when we got to Detroit, we thought there'd be jobs. Instead, all the white people left, and all the jobs left. They put us in tenements and ghettos in the cities and didn't give us opportunity and options. All the jobs and all the white people kept moving away until all of them lived in the suburbs. I mean, do the math on it. Do the history on it. You'll find out that this has all been structured. This has all been strategic. This is why we are where we are. It didn't just happen. Every black people didn't just end up in New Jersey, New York, a few places in this country by accident. This was a plan. So I don't know, Brooke, Aida, we shouldn't let them, hijack that conversation, man.
No, but I think it's important to say these things because I think nobody is beyond learning something new. And even if we say this 100 times, maybe one person will hear it.